Today I'm going to be demonstrating a mid-high fade natural comb over haircut step by step. The very first step that we're going to take with setting our first guideline is we get our trimmer. This trimmer is not zero gapped. We want to aim for the temple, and we're going to go from the temple of the head to the back of the occipital bone. So I like setting my guidelines one side, and then I go to the other side, do the same thing, and then I connect it in the back. And in the back right there, you guys can see the occipital bone is the bone in the back of the head that you guys can, it just protrudes from the head, so you guys can really identify it and just make sure you guys hit that bone. Every client is going to have a different size shaped head, so just make sure that you guys are adjusting accordingly to your client. So once you guys have that guideline set on one side of the head, you want to replicate it on the other side as well. First thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our 3-guard, and we're just going to do the scooping method with my comb just to get rid of this bulk so we can get a nice canvas to set some crispy guidelines. So now that we have some clean, organized room, we're going to grab our 1-guard, open up the lever. You guys see my left hand, I have 2 fingers there. So this is a 2-finger guideline. The reason why I'm starting with the number 1 guard is because I just want to make my life easier on the next step when I cut this guideline in half with the lever open. And now open up the lever. We're going to split the guideline in half to have 2 proportional guidelines now. So now that we have 2 separate guidelines, this is how our work is supposed to look like. Our soft trimmer that we used to create that first guideline, and we're going to soften that beginning guideline to make our job easier to blend out on the next step. So for the first step, we're going to put our lever in the middle, and we're going to do a method that I like calling the middle open closed. So we're going to tack the guideline in the middle, go from that ear to the temple of the head. We're going to be working in zones. So once this side is blended, we go to the back of the head and we replicate it on the other side. So I like going through it back and forth about maybe like 3-4 times until that guideline is nice and softened. Then I like opening the lever a little bit. I go a little bit higher into the fade, and I keep rinsing and repeating this process until my lever is completely open. Guideline doing the closed to open lever method. What this method is that we're just close the lever. We're going to hit the beginning of the guideline, and we're going to go higher and higher as we keep opening the lever. So this is going to soften this guideline and set us up for the next step. This is probably the trickiest step in the blending process. So remember, we set a 1-finger guideline. Now we have half of that finger to work with to do the closed to open lever method. But right here you guys can see we don't really have a set guideline. We just have that smudge line right there, that line that was created between the half and the 1.5, and it's our job to just use our eyes and stay focused as we keep doing the closed to open lever method. So now we're moving on to the next step, which is we're going to grab our 2-guard, open up the lever, and create a 1-finger guideline. And you guys can see below that guideline that we're creating, everything is blended, so we can go on to this step and go from layers from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd guideline to the 4th guideline, to then after removing that bulk below, we're going to do the close to open lever method with the number 2 guard. And after, we're going to clean that up using the 1.5 guard. So in this step, it kind of just replicates the previous step where we use 2 guards to blend out 1 guideline. Let's attach our 1.5 guard. Let's close the lever. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the 0.5 guard on the previous step. So remember, this was a 1-finger guideline, and we're using 2 guards to blend out the line. So essentially we have about half of that finger to work with in this step. Now what's left is that 1 finger of room between the last guideline and the natural part that we just set aside for the beginning of the tutorial to organize our work. What we're doing in this step is we grab our 3 guard and we're flicking out, doing the close to open lever method. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to flip our trimmer upside down, and be very careful in this step because your trimmer is a lot sharper in this position. Baby tap that line. You guys can barely see it. So just baby tap it to create a nice crispy transition from this to the pink trimmer that we use to create the guideline. Once you guys make that transition, go ahead and go down with the grain. The reason why I'm going down with the grain is because I want to leave some hair so I can see what I can bald out and what I don't want to bald out. So to make things easier on our shaver, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our trimmer, and I'm putting my finger there to show you guys, as like a guide to not go higher than that is what we're going to bald out.